Hello, this is Adam at NowGamer.
This is Paul.
And this is our 4th episode of Indecent Exposure, where we look at a bunch of different indie games that are in development or coming out soon. Now, our first game on the list is Always Sometimes Monsters, which is, I suppose... Go on, Paul, you've played it more than me. You explain what this is.
So it's basically an adventure game. It's made in RPG Maker, so it looks like an RPG from the SNES or something, very early RPG, that kind of style. But set in the modern day. It seems to be kind of going for a bit of a Walking Dead thing, in that you're having to make choices about what you do, and those choices are going to come back to affect you in various ways.
The choices are the big thing here, aren't they? They're kind of the thing that is selling.
Yeah, so I mean, the setup of the story, as far as I can tell, I haven't finished the game yet, but it's basically a love story. But the characters that are in the game, you choose the characters yourself. Like, there's a section that you play in the game which kind of functions as a character select thing, where you choose who you are, name the character, and you choose your love interest, which can be male, female, and however you want it.
You're making it sound like those Japanese dating simulators.
No, it's nothing like that. It's just a way of setting up the story. You can have the characters are your own, but then the game itself is telling the story. As I say, you have to make choices. So it's not like you're doing sort of at the beginning of the game, you're trying to earn enough money to get a bus ticket, and it's a bit more exciting than that in terms of the characters that you meet and what happens. But it's not an action game, or you're not shooting people or killing people or anything like this. You're living somebody's life. As I say, it's all about how the choices that you make when you're doing those things will come back and affect you.
What kind of choices do you make then? So are they sinister, serious ones, or are they just very simple things?
They can just be very simple things, from making basic decisions about what you're going to do to earn money, like going and working one place as opposed to another. To give an example, early on in the game, there's a character who's split up from their partner, and they were heroin addicts, and that person comes back looking for them after they've got off heroin. So you choose how to interact with that character, whether to try and get rid of them, or how you interact with them, and that will presumably come back and have some effect. To be honest, I haven't played enough of it to see what kind of impacts the choices will have to a large degree, but I've played enough to see that it's interesting, and it's one that will appeal to people, I think, who enjoyed that Walking Dead type of thing in terms of making choices and very story heavy games. But yeah, it's not out yet. It's due to be released on the 21st of May. It's on Steam. It's $6.99. It's on sale at the moment, so you can get like 10% off or something. But so yeah, it's one coming up for those that are interested.
So that's Always Sometimes Monsters.
This next one is Starwhal, or Starwhal Just the Tip, to give it its full name. This is in early access, so it's still in development, but it's on Steam in early access, and it is also coming to PS4. It's basically a local multiplayer game. Do you want to try and explain the mechanic of it, how it works?
Yeah, go on. So yeah, it's hitting that recent trend of local multiplayer, so Towerfall and all those other games that just make local multiplayer popular again. The catch here is that you can control your narwhal or Starwhal, if you want to give it. I don't know what they're called in the game. You can decorate it so you can look like a princess, unicorn, or a burrito, whatever you fancy. But the key point is each Starwhal has a heart that you have to try and pierce with your unicorn or horn. I don't know what it is. So it's very simple, really. You have up to 4 people playing, trying to pierce each other's heart. It's the idea being that you can't really control yourself that way. You can control it to a degree, but it is intentionally, it's intentionally unwieldy. And that obviously leads to quite a lot of humour and entertainment in that regard.
Yeah, so that remains constant really as a basic, but there are different modes to it. I mean, the standard mode is simply you've got a set amount of lives. You can choose how many lives you want to have, and once you've got all the person's lives, they die, and it's last one standing. There's also a score-based mode, so you get points every time you pierce a heart. There's one where there's a heart that you have to try and hold on to, so you're the only one who's got the heart at that time, and everyone's trying to get it off of you, and the longer you hold on to it, the more points you get. So I think there's a couple of others as well.
There's a good amount of variety. I think there's another one called Gladiator that isn't yet available. There's a good amount of variety to the levels and the mods that you have. But yeah, it's good fun. It's one of those things that it does require friends to be able to play. I don't think it has online multiplayer, at least yet.
No. I like the fact that it's got that little slow motion mechanic just as you get close to someone's heart, because that sort of gets everyone going, oh.
Yeah. It does add a good bit of tension to the proceedings. But yeah, it's a good little multiplayer game. It does require. Can you use the keyboard? We only use 4 controllers. It does require having those controllers, I think, if you're going to have local multiplayer. But if that's something you're into, you probably have that amount of controllers anyway.
So yeah, we had fun playing it. So if you're into local multiplayer and you think you can get people to play with you, then I would recommend it. It was good.
Yeah, it's an early access now.
Yeah, early access, and it's $6.99 on Steam if you wanted to get into it. As I say, it will eventually be on PS4 as well.
Yeah, it might be the one to get because you have the controllers ready for that. Now I get stupidly excited about this game. You'll probably laugh at that because it doesn't look very appealing. I'm going to be honest.
We've had a lot of what you've described as Paul Walker games. This is an Adam Barnes game.
This is very much an Adam Barnes game. It's called Factorio. It's kind of like a top-down Minecraft. It's very core. You have to collect resources and build things. But as you might expect from the name, the ultimate objective is to build a factory. And so it's about automating all these systems and getting the resources to be pulled out of the ground or whatever, and then smelted into various different materials so you can then use those for other extra upgrades. The threat here is every so often you'll be attacked by increasingly difficult waves of monsters. Now I haven't played it that much just yet, but you can see there already a lot of depth there. I've died quite a number of times trying to carefully build up my factory, but it's one of those things where you kind of learn from your mistakes, and although you do have to start again and you have to rebuild the factory, you learn about the best methods of doing that and the quickest methods of doing it, and also what you need to focus on. So for example, you can build gun turrets that will help defend you, and you're going to need those at some point because it gets to a point where the waves are so difficult to kill that if without the advantage, you're just gonna get murdered.
Now, what's the objective? I mean, is it sort of an endless survive as long as you can, or?
Well, there's a demo you can play. I've only been playing that, but I'm probably going to buy it because I do actually. This is an Adam Barnes game, as I've said. There is a campaign mode, so you can go through a series of different objectives, and it's more of a way of introducing the various different mechanics you need, so you can pump water to power steam and get electricity, or you can just use coal to power furnaces and things like that. So there is a good amount of objectives to clear, and you're always told what you have to do, so you might have to collect a certain amount of iron ingots or smelt a certain amount of parts or use radars to scan a certain amount of areas. So there's always an objective to be working towards, but really this ultimate goal is to defend yourself from these monsters. Now I feel like defending this one because, like I said, I know it doesn't look particularly very appealing. It looks very indie, but I think the best kind of person that might be into this is someone if you enjoyed Transport Tycoon or those kind of old school business simulation games where you have to kind of micromanage everything. Then this is going to be for you. It's got a lot of depth to the various things you can build, and in that regard, I do think it's not going to appeal to everyone. But it's only €10. You can get early access to it. It's not available on Steam at the moment, but we'll put the link to the website. And I would recommend at least downloading the demo. It's got the same amount of depth, if not more so, than Minecraft. It's not quite as instantly as gratifying as Minecraft. You doesn't have a 3D world or the cute art style, but it certainly has the same amount of depth, and I can see people losing hours of their life just building the perfect factory.